Hi, and welcome back to Point Serve. What is Point Serve? Well, Point Serve is another podcast to try to help you grow and mature in your leadership ability. It comes from Cross Point Church in Beckley, West Virginia. My name is Vondi Cook. I'm the lead pastor here. Behind the camera today is Mike Smith. He is the chief producer for Point Serve, and we're excited about all that God is going to do with this. But you may ask, why another podcast? Well, we want to give some practical information and steps to followers of Christ, whether you're leading in the marketplace or whether you're leading in the church world, trying to give you some positive, practical things to be able to be a better leader in what God is calling you to do and calling you to be and where He has placed you. We want to help you improve your leadership abilities, and that also will improve your ability to influence others who walk along with you in your environment. Point Serve over the last year has been talking about 10 leadership characteristics. 10 characteristics that Robert Greenleaf put together back in the 1970s, but I believe those characteristics go much further back than that. I believe those characteristics go all the way back to the teachings of Jesus Christ Himself. But as Greenleaf began to tie those pieces together, and you look at the teachings of Jesus, you discover that He utilized each and every one of those 10 characteristics that we've talked about. The first one was listening, and Jesus was a great listener. He also was one who was empathetic. He was able to walk with people when they were hurting, healing, to help people get better, not just to leave them where they are, but help them to get better. Also, an awareness of what was going on, an awareness of the environment and how people needed your assistance during that time. Persuasion, helping people to maybe change some habits and behaviors that are not really good for them, but to help them move forward. Conceptualization, kind of seeing what that looks like. Foresight, and then also stewardship, growth of people, and also building community. And in the midst of all of that, we find Jesus Christ walking there with us. So how do we take those 10 things? We've talked about them. We've looked at them. We've kind of processed through it a little bit over the last few months. But how do we take that now and really apply it to our leadership? Because I believe that there are leaders all around us. I believe there are leaders in every area of industry. I believe there are every area of nonprofits. I believe that there are leaders everywhere, but not every one of them are healthy. And being a healthy leader, it helps create healthy followers. Being a healthy leader, one that is not just saying this is what I do and this is how I do it, but understanding the rationale and the reason, and again, the conceptualization, the foresight, the building of community, the pouring into the growth of people. Some of the things that we've talked about now, let's begin to pull those out theoretically and apply them to where we are, the place that we're working, the place where we're serving, the place where God has called us and put us. Because once we get to that place where we can embrace what God is calling us to do, it really comes along and helps you and I begin to understand our place where we are. So many times we struggle with embracing where God has placed us. And you don't have to look very far to find people who are unhappy with everything. There are people that no matter how good they have it, no matter what's going on in their lives, they cannot embrace the good things around them. They can't embrace what God is doing with them. So if we're going to be leaders that maybe aren't in the best situation, because I've never known of a leader typically to go into a really good situation. I've only known leaders to go into struggling situations and turn those things around. I've watched time and time again as leader friends of mine have gone to places and turned various things around. We don't have time today on this podcast for me to share all of those stories. I can tell you right now here at Cross Point, when I came here in 1990, things were not what you see today. Things were definitely well, let me rephrase that, nothing like what you see today. It was a group of people that were struggling. They were hurting. They recognized that if things didn't change, that they would not exist 10 years from 1990. So by the turn of the century in the year 2000, they knew if things didn't change, they wouldn't be here. But here's what I can tell you about them. They were willing to try something new. And they brought a young kid in who was 24 years old, and we began to try some things, and God blessed that. But yet, to be a leader, we go into all kinds of those situations and all kinds of those places, and God places us there to take what's existing and make it better. I kind of call that a turnaround leader. Someone who comes in and takes something and turns it around and moves it forward. And that's in every level of leadership, not just for CEOs, not just for chief managers, not just for the entrepreneurs who start a business, not just for lead pastors. That's for everybody in every area of leadership wherever they find themselves. They come along and they begin to turn those things around. So if I'm going to be that kind of a leader, if I'm going to implement the 10 things that we've talked about over the last few months, I've got to learn to embrace some things. I've got to learn to wrap my head and my mind and my heart around a few things that are out there. And the first thing I have to embrace, regardless of where I am, is the mission of where I am. I have to embrace that mission. I have to get to the place to where that mission is something that is very important to me. When I can fully embrace that mission, then I help the clients at my business. If, say, I'm doing a service for them, I'm putting something together for them, then I embrace that wholeheartedly. And I begin to tie those pieces together to help them with whatever I have to offer them. If I am a lead pastor in the church world, then I am embracing making disciples. I'm embracing that because that's what I'm called to do and called to be a part of. Regardless of where we serve in church life, whether it's a Sunday school teacher, a youth worker, a children's worker, we are all striving to embrace that mission. I guess if you're going to look to be the leader that God has called you where you are, what is the mission? What is it that you're really looking for? What is it that you're really striving for? Embrace that mission today. Because you see, that mission always leads back to the purpose. That mission always leads back to the purpose of why you're there. And if your only mission is to make money, that's a very superficial purpose. Now, while we all expect God to bless and to take what we've offered and given it to Him for Him to use, our purpose is not just to make money. Our purpose is to come alongside of those clients that we work with and to help them do a better job where they are. As a lead pastor, I come along beside leaders in the life of our congregation here at Crosspoint so that we can better connect our community to Christ. What is it that your particular place in leadership is calling you to be? What is that particular place where God is using you to be able to do that? The mission kind of just lays out what that purpose is. The mission gives us those steps in order to run and move and walk with, to be about what that is. And you see, the mission and the purpose lead us to understanding a clear vision. When Jesus came and He implemented servant leadership characteristics, He had a vision. He knew exactly what He wanted to do. What is it that your organization is trying to do? Are you trying to be the best grocery store in town? Are you trying to be the best particular department where you're working? Are you trying to be the absolute very best at what you're doing? Now, I can assure you, we strive for perfection. We don't reach it in all of those areas, yet we try our very best to be about that which our mission says we're supposed to be about. And when we do that, we are able to push the other things aside, especially if you're leading an organization that is trying to turn around. If you're a turnaround leader, if you're one that is trying to pull something back away from the brink, as it were, then you're going to have to understand what that vision really is. You're going to have to be able to tie all of those pieces together. You're going to have to make sure that you know crystal clear what that mission and that purpose is, because all three of those pieces have to tie together in order for you to be able to listen correctly, to have empathy when it's needed, to be able to have the foresight and the conceptualization of what needs to happen next. All of those pieces that you are leading through, whether it's in the church world or whether it's in the marketplace, all of those things you have to come to grips with as the leader first. And when you do, then those moments when you don't feel good, those moments when maybe the sale that you thought you were going to make, it just didn't quite come together. It's moments like that that the mission and the purpose and the clarity of vision will keep you moving forward at that moment. So servant leadership characteristics, they're involved in all of this as we look at being the leaders that God has really called us to be and placed us here. And I thank you today. I thank you for being a part of Point Serve today, and I hope that you found something that you can use, something that you can take and apply to where you are, because we are hoping that this podcast will grow and it will help you become a better servant leader. Again, Point Serve is produced by Mike Smith here at Cross Point Church. Please check us out on YouTube. If you would like to send us a message, you can type in pointserve@beckleycrosspoint.org. That's our email. We'd love to hear from you. And just to know that you are getting something out of what God has laid on our heart to be able to promote and to push and to share with you. Because if we ever needed leaders, today is the day in the life of our world that leadership is necessary. Thank you so much. We'll see you next month. Have a great day.